Welcome to the Cedar Rapids, Linn County Solid Waste Agency Fiscal Year 2027 Operating and Capital Budget Review. The budget process begins with staff working together to analyze historical averages, market trends, and projections to prepare the detail contained within the budget. Upon staff's completion, the document is presented to the agency's Finance Committee for a more in-depth review of the budget. This review was done yesterday, November 17th, with action taken by the committee to recommend to the Board of Directors that the budget be placed on file for public review and to set a public hearing to be held on Tuesday, December 16th, 2025 at 1:30 p.m. Notification of the budget will be sent to all member and associate members both when it is placed on file and once adopted by the Board of Directors. The agency's budget comprises of four components: operating and non-operating revenues, operating expenses, capital expenditures, fund balances or cash reserves. There are 7 cash reserve funds established by the agency: operations, closure, post-closure, capital equipment replacement, capital improvements, landfill cell development, Site 1 redevelopment, and future development. This slide presents fees in the region of Iowa for tipping and material recovery or transfer pricing in 2025. As you will see in the next slide, with the rate increases the agency is proposing for FY27, we will continue to be in line with pricing of other facilities in our area. The FY27 proposed fee changes effective July 1st, 2026 are as follows. Landfill tip fee will increase by $3 per ton to $53 per ton. Special waste fees will increase by $15 per ton to $85 per ton. Bulky waste fees will increase by $5 per ton to $85 per ton. Yard waste tip fee will increase by $3 per ton to $35 per ton. Commercial finished compost will increase by $3 per ton to $35 per ton. Commercial hazardous waste disposal rates will increase by 5%. Items the agency will continue to accept from residents at no charge are as follows: scrap metal, household hazardous materials, commingled recyclables, glass, fluorescent bulbs, cardboard, used oil with a 20-gallon maximum per visit, batteries, textiles, books, CDs, tapes, and DVDs, small electronics, bikes, and sharps. Items and activities at no charge to residents at the Cedar Rapids downtown facility are finished compost while supplies last, wood chips, glass delivered from the City of Cedar Rapids, City of Mount Vernon, and City of Fairfax from their residential curbside pickup programs, and no charge admission to use the Mount Trashmore trails and overlook. In FY27, $50,000 will be allocated to our Community Diversion Program to help fund Willis Dady's Mattress Demanufacturing Program. Local partnerships with Central Furniture Rescue, Chain Reaction Bike Hub, Goodwill, and St. Vincent de Paul will continue with the collection of materials for their specific needs. Landfill tonnage is dropping slightly due to increased diversion efforts, using the 183,300 ton average of FY24 and FY25 for the FY27 budget. Compost tonnage remains steady. This chart of landfill tonnage over the past 5 years shows a spike in tonnage in FY21 due to the derecho and a gradual decrease back to normal tonnage within the next few years. In FY25, 181,910 tons were landfilled. The waste stream is broken down into 2 segments: 71% commercial and industrial wastes and 29% residential wastes. The summary page found on page 1 of your packet indicates that total revenues are projected at $13,837,000 in FY27, up from $13,782,000 in FY26, or an increase of $54,500. Total expenses are estimated at $20.7 million in FY27, up from $17.4 million in FY26, or an increase of $3.3 million. For FY27, the agency will draw approximately $1.9 million from reserves. This revenue pie chart indicates landfill user fees are the main source of revenue for the agency, amounting to 68.3% of the total. The remaining 31.7% comes from various other sources as illustrated in the chart. On page 2 of your packet, you can see a summary of the $54,500 increase in revenue. Landfill tonnage has been estimated at 183,300 tons for FY27, down from 191,700 tons in FY26. However, the increase in tipping fees will still give us a slight increase in revenue. Non-operating revenue will see a decrease of $222,100, primarily resulting from less interest revenue on investments. All other sources of revenue will see an increase of $276,600, primarily from landfill and raw compostable tipping fees. Total operating expenses next year is projected to be $20.7 million, 20.4% for employee payroll and benefits, 18% for depreciation, 32.7% for capital expenditures, 14.6% for purchased services such as engineering, insurance, utilities, etc., 6% for supplies and materials such as fuel, equipment repairs, and maintaining buildings and grounds, 8.1% for closure, post-closure, and the final 0.2% will be used for all other miscellaneous expenses, including administrative costs, public and employee relations, bad debt write-off, and contributions. Personal services for FY27 is budgeted at approximately $4.2 million, or an increase of $172,200 from FY26. Employee headcount will be steady at 37 full-time equivalent and 2 seasonal in FY27. Group insurance rates are increasing due to market rates. Purchase services for FY27 is budgeted at $3 million, an increase of $305,400 from FY26. Notable increases are $40,000 increases to both consulting engineering costs and landfill gas engine operating costs. White goods disposal increased by $38,000 due to larger quantities of appliances coming in after the closure of a processor in the area. Collection and banking services increased by $101,000 due to processing fees on increased credit card usage. Water sewer reflects a $76,500 increase because we recategorized wastewater disposal services here from the other miscellaneous category. Wood grinding in the other miscellaneous category increased by $90,000, but by moving the wastewater disposal services to the water sewer category, the total increase in other miscellaneous was only $25,000. Supplies and materials for FY27 is budgeted at $1.2 million, a decrease of $217,600 from FY26. While there are several categories with slight increases, there are 3 major drivers of the decrease: a $54,100 decrease in diesel fuel, a $71,100 decrease in building and grounds maintenance, a $99,800 decrease in repairs and maintenance to vehicles and rolling stock. Other and non-operating expenses for FY27 are budgeted at $1.7 million, a decrease of $92,500 from FY26. The 2 main contributors are: 1. An increase of $414,900 for estimated closure post-closure costs based on current and future estimates of total landfill tonnage, remaining permitted landfill airspace, and remaining life. And 2. A decrease of $500,000 due to having no anticipated contributions to other governments or agencies. Total capital expenditures for FY27 are estimated at $6.8 million, with depreciation estimated at $3.7 million. The largest capital expense occurring in FY27 is the initial phase of the 5B cell construction. These capital purchases and improvement projects will adhere to the normal public bidding processes and procedures with follow-up review by the board for authorization to move ahead. The 5-year capital expenditure projection currently stands at $16.8 million, with the largest share of the capital expenses of $6.8 million slated for FY27. Upon completion of the Cell 5B construction in FY28, there are currently no additional capital improvement projects scheduled through FY31. Total fund balance will decrease approximately $1.9 million from $43,607,046 on July 1, 2026 to $41,732,851 on June 30, 2027. All funds are unrestricted except for closure post-closure, meaning funds can be transferred from one fund to another based on the importance of financing capital expenditures internally. Closure post-closure is the largest fund balance and is mandated and monitored by the Iowa Department of Natural Resources, Chapter 67 of the Iowa State Code. This fund is needed to close the agency's permitted landfill, compost and transfer stations, and maintain closed landfills for a minimum of 30 years after closure date is established. The current estimate of the closure post-closure is $24.2 million, with the remaining 6 unrestricted funds collectively amounting to $17.5 million on June 30, 2027. This pie chart depicts the restricted and unrestricted cash reserves as of June 30, 2027. The restricted closure post-closure fund represents 58% of the agency's total fund balance. The remaining 42% is divided amongst the 6 unrestricted funds. In summary, total operating revenues will increase slightly by $54,500, and operating expenses will increase by $2.9 million in FY27. Total estimated capital equipment acquisitions and capital construction projects of $6.8 million will have a direct impact on the agency's cash reserves. Total change in balance sheets accounts affecting cash will result in $1.9 million decrease in cash reserves. Agency staff and Finance Committee recommends a motion from the Board to place the FY27 operating and capital budget on file for public review and set a public hearing date of Tuesday, December 16, 2025 at 1:30 p.m. Thank you for your time and attention.